Some people say you should not judge a book by its cover. But that's exactly what book covers are for. Hi, I'm Cam, marketing copywriter turned novel writer. I'm self-publishing my debut novel this year and I'm documenting the whole process on this YouTube channel. Today, I'm telling you about how I worked with a cover artist to design my book cover. So why did I hire a cover artist? I could have done it myself or ask a friend. I know some web designers. Design is design, isn't it? Well, no. You need someone who knows what they're doing, and that is why hiring a freelance cover artist is so important. They know more than design, they also know the market, the trends, the publishing industry, and when they are used to working with indie authors, they can also guide you and give you a lot of very, very invaluable tips. Their knowledge is precious, and this is why I was happy to pay for it. Your book cover is not just something pretty that's here to please the author. It is part of your marketing toolkit. The book cover needs to indicate where your book sits in the bookshop, what genre it is. It's there to set up your reader's expectations. It's going to give a vibe and give indication on what's to be expected inside the book. That is why it's very important that what you're selling on the book cover is something that you will deliver inside the book. It's very important. You need to manage those expectations. And finally, you need to catch the reader's attention. So I assume this is why book covers are so colorful in the UK. But yeah, you need to make sure that your book cover is not just something that you like, whether you're designing it yourself or hiring a cover artist. It needs to match your reader's expectations. It needs to be something that is setting the expectations and indicating what your book is and what your book is about. How did I find my cover artist? Well, I went online. This time I went on a platform called Reedsy that you might have heard about. This video obviously is not sponsored. I just thought it was reassuring for me to hire someone within this platform because there is a sort of sense of security. The freelancers have been vetted and I was able also to read a lot of reviews and check the artist portfolios, and all of that reassured me. Yeah, it was not just a random person that I picked from Instagram or TikTok. But wait, if you hire a cover artist, you can just get the cheapest, no? No, they all have a style. They are artists, not just designer. Lots of them do illustrations, some of them are specialized within a genre, and they have their personal preferences. So you can't just pick any artist to do your cover. You have to make sure that their style matches what you're expecting. Don't pick anyone. Find the ones that you like, look at their portfolios, and only then you can ask them for a quote and hope that you're going to work with them. When I realized I had to work with a cover artist and I had to give them some guidance, I was a bit taken aback at first because I didn't have a vision. I didn't know what I wanted for my own book cover. I did some research. I looked at many book covers, some that I liked and found pretty, and some that were from books comparable to mine. I ended up doing a mock-up on Canva myself. It's pretty ugly. Should I show you what it looks like? Please don't judge me. Again, I'm so not a designer. Okay, do you want to see my first mock-up so we can compare it to the end product? Okay, here it is. Yeah, I know. So once I accepted the quote from my cover artist, she sent me a questionnaire, and it was a very good way for her to understand what I wanted and also for me to find out also what I wanted. So she asked me to give her, again, comp titles, books that I could see sitting in the same shelves at the bookshops, covers that I like, things that I would like or really, really dislike in covers. In my case, I didn't want stock images. I don't think it works for what I'm doing. I'm fine with illustrations. I didn't want photos. I'm also a bit worried about the copyright and how it works. So no photos was just easier. I also, I wanted bright colors, but I didn't want people. I didn't want silhouettes because my book is not a rom-com and I didn't want to give the wrong impression. That is something that's very important with your book cover. You need to know what the expectations your book cover is going to set. You need to make sure that you don't mislead your potential readers with a book cover that says or implies it's something that the book is not. Because even if you might convince people to buy your book from a misleading cover, if they're disappointed, they're going to tell it. They're going to share their disappointment and your book is not going to sell. There are also some elements you need to share with your cover artist that you might not think about just like that. For example, they need to know if you want hardback, paperback, ebooks, all the different formats. In my case, it's only paperback and ebook. In the future, I might create an audiobook, but I will have to recontact my cover artist to reshape the cover and make it work for an audiobook. So at the moment, we're only talking paperback and ebook. When you contact your cover artist, they're going to ask you what's your trim size, what is the format of your book. In my case, it's going to be what is called the B format, which is the standard paperback format in the UK. I really want my book to be aligned with the other ones in my bookshelf. I'm sure a lot of you will understand how important it is. Standard trim sizes vary depending on the country where you are. American paperbacks tend to be a bit taller than British ones. The French ones are even smaller. It depends. So it is on you, the self-publishing author, to decide which trim size you want and to make sure that you can communicate that with your cover artist and you don't change your mind so they don't have to reformat the whole thing. My cover artist also asked me if I already knew which print-on-demand company I was planning to work with. The big ones are KDP from Amazon, Ingram Spark. You probably have heard of those already. I am planning to go with BookVault, which is a British company with printers based here in the UK. And I was really happy when she said, yes, that's a good one. Their print quality is quite high. I mean, I will make another video in a few weeks when we'll talk about printing the books. But yes, this is something that you have to start thinking about early because your cover artist might ask you or might also give you some advice on which print-on-demand companies you want to use for your book. My book is a standalone, but it is also potentially the first book of a trilogy. And this is something I shared with my cover artist. And if you're planning to do a series, I would definitely recommend, and my cover artist also recommends, that you share it. Because you want to make sure the design of book 1 is something that can be adapted for book 2 and 3 and more if you have more. Yeah, from the beginning, even if it's just a possibility, share this type of information with your cover designer. So once I had found the cover artist that I wanted to work with, and once I agreed to their quote, we started the collaboration. She sent me a questionnaire, about a dozen questions to make sure that she understood what I wanted and what I really didn't want. I also sent her a sample of my book. I think it was the first 4 or 5 chapters. They're pretty short. Then we had a Zoom call when we discussed further. She also gave me some tips and some guidance because I was a bit lost. I've never done that before. I was also reassured to see how professional she was and how knowledgeable. After the call for a couple of weeks, I didn't hear from her. She was working on the first mock-ups that she sent me. I was so excited when I received the first mock-ups. She sent me 4 different mock-ups for the front cover. I didn't like the first one. I didn't like the second one. I didn't like the third one. I remember scrolling down the different versions. But when I saw the 4th one, I was like, yes! I would never have thought about that, but this is perfect. This is what I want. We still had to make a few tweaks. Of course, she didn't know that much about the book. So I came back with some more suggestions, and I asked for a few small tweaks. So the front cover was ready after about 3 weeks, I would say. About 3 weeks. Then we needed to work on the spine and the back cover. I had to send her a blurb, which is the text at the back of the cover. She asked that it stayed within a maximum of 150 words. Once we had agreed on the front cover and once she had received the blurb, she was able to design the spine and the back cover. Again, there was a couple of back and forth, but overall, I had the perfect full cover that I wanted within a month. I'm, again, really, really happy. I also felt reassured in a way that all of this was done through Reedsy. All the communication have to stay on the platform. You can't send direct emails or make a phone call. Everything is done via the platform. But in a way, it's quite reassuring to know that if anything goes wrong, you will be able to reach out to customer service. Again, this was my choice. You make yours, and this is not sponsored by Reedsy. I'm just explaining my personal preferences. Once we had agreed on everything, once I gave my final approval for the front, the back cover, and the spine, my amazing designer sent me a couple of assets for my social media, and it's basically a mock-up of the book with the cover on what looks like a full paperback book. Do you want to see it? Do you want to see what it looks like? You might not be as excited as I was when I received it, but here we go. Isn't it so pretty? We're not completely done yet, my cover artist and I. I will definitely have to get back to her when I will be ready with the final page count. At the moment, I'm still working on the final edits. Then I will format my book. I'm doing the typesetting myself. So once I'll be done with the final edits and the typesetting, I'm hiring a freelance proofreader to make sure that everything is fine. And so they can have a look at the final version, make sure there's no typo, make sure there's no issue with the typesetting, especially since I'm doing it myself. So I will only have my final page count in a bit more than a month. So that's only when I will have this information that my designer will be able to finalize the spine. It might not be obvious, but the spine of a book depends on the amount of pages. There's also a template that is provided by your print-on-demand company. So you won't have this exact same template whether you're working with, again, KDP from Amazon, BookVault, like I'm planning to, or Ingram Spark, or Lulu, or any other company. By the way, if you were thinking of asking a cover artist to do a few mock-ups and then you would just, from that, make any changes yourself, that is not how it works. You get a PDF file from your cover artist, and they own the copyright. You don't get to change it or tweak it yourself. If you want to make any changes at some point in the future, you need to get back in touch with them, or you need to hire a new person and create a whole new book cover. And that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you like my book cover. If you have any questions, if you're also thinking of hiring a cover artist, or if you are one and you want to share your portfolio in the comments, please feel free to do so. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next Monday for another video. Bye!